Woody and Chris with you today. Les on assignment by his pool in Scottsdale, and we're thrilled to be joined by Dave Durr. It looked like your family. Have you done some history study of your family that maybe they ran out of ink back in the old days?
I was adopted, so I'll have to just bow out on that one, but I think they probably did shorten the name somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
former head coach of the Dallas Burn and former assistant with the Colorado Rapids, and we're doing this segment sponsored by the Celtic Tavern. And if you have any interest in soccer internationally or locally, Celtic Tavern is your place to hang out and learn more about it. And we do this segment every week, and we're thrilled you're joining us. And I love those boots. And that would
those are my Texas boots for your Mark Cuban segment. So,
Mark Cuban once said of a referee, he couldn't run a Dairy Queen. So he has that theme in his mind. Right. I think Mark makes those statements when he's hungry.
He just wants to get to the Dairy Queen again and get to work and get the free ice cream. That's usually what it is.
Question I have to start with, and I probably know where it's coming from. The Rapids haven't scored a goal this year. Forget about winning. They haven't won since July of last year. But what observing them is so wrong that you can't score goals.
Well, there's always two schools of thought, but at the end of the day, the only way you win the game is scoring goals. So the Rapids have really concentrated on the defensive end. They brought in a new coach that, was a guy who was a fighter, a guy who brought the lunch pail to work.
Earlier,
yeah, exactly. So, of course, they took on that mantra to start. And I think when you have a young coach, a lot of times you don't know what you don't know kind of thing, and so you really go with what your personality is. You bring that first. So you've seen improvements on the defensive side, but in soccer it's always about balance, like a lot of things. If you are all defense, sometimes you don't have the energy to go on the offensive side, and so they've created some chances, and it's gotten better since the season started, but I think that it's still a work in progress offensively. And
it's almost like the model for that was, and you certainly have a lot more knowledge than I do, and I've covered a couple of three World Cups, and I saw Italy play Brazil. And Italy's entire game plan was to never let anybody score in the game and get it into the shootout. You obviously know that was the one when it was played in the Rose Bowl in the final.
Yeah, I was actually at that game, and Italy was known, especially in the past, for a catenaccio style, which is just defend first and counterattack.
But that's not what the Rapids are trying to do.
I don't think so, but I can't speak for the Rapids. But right now, I think that they really struggled defensively last year. You have a coach that really hadn't coached in the league before, but was a tremendous player, to be honest. And so that doesn't always translate when you're starting out into the coaching ranks. It's a much different animal. In MLS, there's so much parity. It's actually even a much different animal. So I think the big thing is their style, or what they wanted to be, they're still finding that when you watch them play. I'm not sure they've decided what they're going to be long term yet.
Well, let me ask you this: do they look like an improved defensive team? I mean, they're kind of going into this period here, but if they've improved that, then it's just a matter of creating chances, scoring goals.
Well, that's in soccer, as you know. It's just the goals just don't come flowing. Right. It's a difficult sport to score. That's why sometimes people criticize it.
Unless you're playing in the World Cup and you actually score 9 goals in a game.
Well, at the end of the day, I think that they are improved defensively. Yeah. I mean, I think you can watch them and see that, and especially from last year. Now, 2 years ago, they had 50-something points, and last year they took a dramatic step backward. So,
as a coach, Dave, you've been through good streaks and bad streaks. When you haven't won a game since last July, and we're in April, I believe. Obviously, they haven't been playing continuously since then. But what do you do to break that up and say, because if you don't get, you were talking about goals begetting goals, but victories at least give you a chance. Without victories, you can't get on a winning streak. How's
Yeah,
that for a
I
bad
think
quote?
that's very true. And the victories are way more important than the goals, to be honest. I think that the goals just aren't going to come because you get one, the floodgate's going to open. Especially in the last game, they created some chances, hit the post a few times. Some of that starts to become psychological, but they hadn't created really great chances up to that point, at least in a significant number. So you can fool yourself to think it's just going to come. You know, the confidence factor of winning games and getting points and getting results for all the hard work you're doing in a preseason, and they were working hard. When you have a coach like that that's really asking everybody to once again bring the lunch pail and work both ways, you know, you have to have results for that, or the players stop believing over time. But they're only 4 games into the season, so I don't want to.
It's not alarming.
Yeah, don't get the alarm going. But at the same time, I think that offensive side, they have to commit more people and take more risk. And, you know, if you're telling everybody defend and we're going to do this, great. Soccer is about when you take your chances and taking those chances and having that balance on both sides of the field.
Well, besides being a gentleman rancher these days with your boots and your...
I'm not a rancher. I just like boots. My wife's from Texas, so I'll throw her a plug out there. But
There's an old Smothers
they're
Brothers
very
song.
comfortable boots. Yeah.
There's an old Western song about the streets called "The Streets of Laredo," and the Smothers Brothers did a takeoff on it. It says, "I see by your outfit that you are a cowboy. One day on the streets of Laredo we met. I see by your outfit you are a cowboy. You see by my outfit that I'm a cowboy." And they turn and look at the audience. You get an outfit, you can be a cowboy too. What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm actually the president of the Storm, which is a large youth club. It's the largest club in Colorado. I'm more on the management side. I had been in MLS since its inception. I was actually the first employee of MLS. So,
wow.
And I actually used to coach the Foxes here, which is the old APSL team. I was their head coach for a number of years through a few championships back then. So I've been around Colorado and
locally,
enjoying
there's
it.
been a rich tradition with the teams that have been here, and the Rapids have won an MLS championship, and there's been a long gray period for a lot of other teams, so it was nice that they won it. We appreciate you coming by and spending some time.
It was great being here. Thanks for having me.
Come back anytime, once a week. That segment has been brought to you by the Celtic Tavern. I was there Monday night. Even though it's known as a Rapids place, I was there for the Final Four.
Another round ball.
There's a back room there, and you feel like if you go in there, if you could get one of those old outfits, you know, from King James or something, not the King James you covered, but you could sit in that back room. It's like an English drawing room, and there's a great TV, and you sit in these high back chairs, and it's just enjoyable. Get a stout and just have a great time. So you can do that they have a free bus that goes to all the Colorado Rapids home games, and that's your place for gathering if you're Rapids fans. Celtic Tavern. Thanks again, Dave.
Thank you.